Hey everyone, I hope you are having an awesome 2020. Oh, I just realized you can't see my Better Nutrition program. Better Not Perfect, my sweatshirt, loving it. One of my favorite new swag items here at the Better Nutrition program. So let's make sure that's out there. Anyway, welcome. I hope you're having an amazing 2020. And I am just so excited about just the whole space of, I call this the decade of personalization, especially in healthcare. And I think it's such an exciting time to be us practitioners, providers, because we really have a unique opportunity to help people hone in on what their body needs. And also remember, starting from that point, if you didn't catch my session on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, I talked about the Better Nutrition Plan, but I was really talking about how to shift mindset, how to help people understand that there's a lot of information out there, and many of us feel like, and many of our clients feel like failures. And so how do we shift them to success mindset? And so in this era of personalization, one thing that's going to be so important is for you to have the critical data that you need, and hopefully to be getting it easily, and in a way that is honest, right? In a way that allows a patient to share with you something that they may not be sure why you're asking, or they may be uncomfortable answering. And so one of the things that I find just awesome about total nutrition assessment tools is not only do I get all the information that I need ahead of time, but my clients can do it at a time and in a space that they feel comfortable. And the way that I might ask the question just on any given day might be like super fast for someone, and they're like, ooh, does she really care? Just kidding. Of course they know I always care. But, I might ask it in a way. I have a tendency to do those leading the witness questions instead of maybe asking as unbiased as possible. So not only are we able to gather critical data, we're able to gather that data better. So today I'm going to talk you through total nutrition assessment. I'm going to show you what it is and how, and why it's so much more important. So we'll start actually with the why. 70+% of adults are taking in at least one supplement. The polypharma statistics for especially aging adults, but with each new generation, we're seeing it earlier and earlier where they're taking more than one medication. Sometimes those are prescription. Oftentimes they're a combination of prescription and over-the-counter. We're also seeing this whole world of functional foods and fortifications. I guess fortifications are more historic, but we're seeing more of what's being added. It started off, I remember when ginseng was added to popcorn, right? We're like, oh, look at that. And now it seems like every bar and every hot cocoa and something else has other functional ingredients in it. And one of the issues is while those ingredients may help somebody's body function better, they may also contribute to less better function if they aren't in the context of what somebody's taking in, understood and better in the context of their total nutrition. So again, huge, massive opportunity. And I love the sun coming in. It's just so nice on my face. Sorry if it makes me look all whited out, but I'm happy with it. Not closing that. Anyway, total nutrition assessment is so unbelievably important for us to not only do, but to share with other practitioners, with corporate wellness programs if we're interested in that space, with fitness professionals if we're partnering with them or looking to partner with them, and with the individuals that we're talking to and seeking as prospective clients. Or also if we go back, it's 2020, maybe we go back and look at somebody that, reach out to somebody we saw in the last decade and say, hey, you want to pop back in. Did you know one of the things that I do is total nutrition assessment? And that's really important because it's going to help me understand what your body's getting in, what's already better. Yay, we're going to keep that. And then how we can layer on what else is better to help you reach your health goals. I also like to explain that total nutrition assessment is absolutely essential whether or not you have the resources, your client has the resources, whether it's in your scope of practice, etc., to do things like the GI map test that Alicia was talking about last week here, or to do things like pull blood work or even review blood work, genetic testing, which Amanda Archibald has been on here talking about. None of that can replace or give you the information that total nutrition assessment tools can give you. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually walk through it, and I'm going to explain what an actual tool is. I'm going to show you what a tool is, And this goes out to a few of my colleagues who were in an iodine discussion this morning. So I thought that I would use our iodine evaluation. Remember, iodine, so critical during pregnancy and also throughout life to support healthy, especially healthy thyroid function. So we'll start with that and we'll see what information we can gather. So I'm going to click over. If anyone has any questions or comments or just wants to say hi and that you dig my sweatshirt, see it says better, not perfect. It's always good for me to wear this because I catch myself at different moments getting a reminder. We do have these for sale on the site if you're interested in them. Okay, so let me pop over here. I'm going to pull up my iodine evaluation. There we go. Great. Getting there. Getting there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so, I think you should be able to see it. Nope, not yet. Let me come over here. Yeah, there we go. All right. And some of you have seen this before, but we will, for those of you that haven't, one of my favorite tools. I learned about iodine, especially from Dr. Tiarona Lodog. One of the things that I learned from her is actually about a substance called perchlorate that can be in water, especially water apparently close to military bases and places where there's like airplanes and things like that. Because I guess it's a chemical that's used. Anyway, perchlorate can interfere with iodine absorption, and so oftentimes that can be the cause or a factor in why somebody's thyroid isn't functioning properly even if they're taking in iodine. So you'll see me asking about that. So that goes to the point of when we do total nutrition assessment, we're not just asking about foods and beverages. We're also going to be asking questions about an individual's overall health. So there are lots of delicious, amazing ways that we could get in iodine. I hope that this picture to the right shows you just how delicious it can look. And one of the things that we have to think about is in the name of getting in iodine to support our thyroid, we also want to make sure that we're not taking in other chemicals that could be, coming in, especially with things like seaweed or with seafood or with, here we've got the tuna. Where we want to make sure that we're talking to individuals about the quality of their sources of iodine as well. So a total nutrition assessment, what is it? These evaluations at the Better Nutrition Program, we have over 20 of these, and this year we'll have 24, we'll have 4 new ones. So I think we'll get closer to 30. And we have 2 sets of evaluations. We have a practitioner evaluation, and we also have a general population or consumer evaluation. I like to refer to those for us practitioners as the answer keys, because what you'll get there are pages of recommendations that our experts that we collaborated with will share, the research that they used or what the recommendations mean, and then you can share this practitioner version with your clients. The only way to get the practitioner versions, however, is to get our shop of tools. So if you want just an individual evaluation, you'll be getting the consumer evaluation. Okay, so what we're going to do is figure out total nutrition. So I think it's pretty easy to think about with something like iodine. The first place we should be thinking about is our food, right? So there are foods that are good sources of iodine. And we just want to go, what we're trying to figure out with your total nutrition is what is your body taking in more often? So I don't need to know the exact grams every day at this point. I just want to know, are these things hitting your plate? Are you focused on them? Remember, in the practitioner evaluation, you also have at the end a space for notes. So this is editable, so you could type in there. So if they want to write in there the difference between daily and weekly, well, I do it on Tuesdays, or something like that. They can always share that information. And right here, what we're going to look at is just the information of, am I taking these things in? And they may not know the answer. So that's the other thing that you might find. I've had people add a question mark, or I've had them leave it blank. If they are leaving it blank or adding a question mark, then that's going to be a great place for you to have a conversation with them. And what we're looking at right here is, in terms of what are we taking in, we've got all of these with the range of different sea vegetables. But when I say sea vegetables to most of my clients, they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Ashley. But if I start to say, even if I say kelp or wakame, so we might want to say seaweed or, something like that, or seaweed snacks, etc. So what we'll do here is we'll look first at what are you getting in from a food standpoint. Now, remember I told you 70+% of adults are taking in supplements. And so we want to know, is your multivitamin have iodine? Now, separately, they may also be taking an iodine supplement. Maybe they're taking a supplement for other reasons. We just like to start here with a yes or no, and then you can also give them instructions. I hope that you're giving instructions for them to take photos front and back of any supplements that they're taking. Pause for 1 second on total nutrition assessment. That's one of my favorite tips for somebody's ICE in case of emergency on their phone, is to go through quarterly and update the front and the back of any supplements that they're taking and any medications, and have that in case of an emergency, just because in case of an emergency, you want whoever's taking care of you to be able to readily access that information. So one of the other things that does for you, the provider, is you can ask somebody, do you want me to reach out to you quarterly to remind you to change that over, right? Or you could do a quarterly post in your group, making sure now's the time to do that. But what that also does is that gives you the opportunity to talk to them about their supplements quarterly. And as we know, we practitioners know, somebody shouldn't just go on a supplement and then call us 10 years later. We actually see a lot of changes happen that could happen seasonally, could happen based on health goals, lifestyle changes, improvements in health. So it's really important to consistently check in. That's also, in my opinion, where your Better Nutrition supplement store comes in. And if you want more information on how to get our free store as your back end so that you can private label that, you can head over to our blog, and there's a whole FAQ about what we offer, how to get it. It's free, and it comes fully stocked with the supplement recommendations that accompany these tools. So you will see iodine recommendations, and you'll also see multivitamins that have iodine and don't have iodine to help us with this situation. So then we're going to get a little bit deeper into how much iodine are you eating: 1 serving, more than 1 serving, less than 1 serving. And so each serving here is about 150 micrograms of iodine, or they can read the label. So that's one way that they can count. You can also do this with them if they're having difficulty or they feel uncomfortable doing this part. This is something you could do in person, or you could do it as part of a virtual program. We'll get to that in a second. But you want to ask them how many servings they're having each of these each time that they're having it, because that's going to help us get to that number of how much are you actually taking in as compared to your RDA, and also what your body may need based on your particular health. So when we're looking at total nutrition assessment, we're looking at foods, we're looking at beverages, we're looking at supplements, we're looking at spices, if you will, because it could be salt or other spices. Beverages, things like milk are going to make a difference. Non-dairy milk is not going to have the iodine that cow's milk is going to have. So we need to make sure that and I shouldn't say all non-dairy milk. There could be a dairy source, but the majority, I'm willing to say almost all non-dairy will not have it on that part. Okay. So then this is going to really provide you some great money on this part in terms of diving into what could be going on with your client. So have they recently made a switch? Maybe they're doing our heart health program and they're thinking, or maybe they've read, I should be getting rid of all salt, or maybe I switched to sea salt. I avoided iodized salt. Maybe they're making a health improvement where they are switching from packaged foods or fast foods to eating more whole foods, or maybe they're grabbing a lot of packaged foods more often. And so these are going to be things that you want to ask about. What are you drinking in addition to that milk? Are you drinking tap water? I talked about the perchlorate at the start of this. Do you drink sodas? What could be interfering with your iodine absorption? Do you have fluoride in the toothpaste or take a fluoride supplement? Now, I had one client who said yes, and it turned out that was just she did the fluoride when she went to her dentist. So we had the conversation about once a year is not going to be what impacts your iodine levels on an ongoing basis. Do you eat these vegetables raw? That's going to be helpful for you to know. Do you avoid seafood or seaweed? If you're just nothing from the sea, I don't want any of it. And do you smoke? Then you also want to ask some questions that you would be probably asking in other places, but these are really going to be specific to looking at iodine. Things like skin, or do you have more fibrous breasts? Are you dealing with weight issues, Hashimoto's? Are there things going on with thyroid? And also, are you pregnant or breastfeeding? And I might even add in here, are you planning? That could be a note that you put into the section here. So when you have all of this information, you have a lot of information, right? You come back to saying you now know what is going on with your particular patient as it relates to their iodine intake. You can ask questions like, for example, somebody wanted to know if somebody's iodized salt had anti-caking ingredients in it. You can ask about that based on knowing if they're consuming iodized salt. So that becomes something super easy. You can email them even if you get this before you see them, or if you're doing it together, you can say, take a photo of the salt that you're using at home. Maybe they're not sure if it's sea salt or if it's iodized salt. It can get confusing with all the different packaging that's out there these days, right? So then what you can do, once you have a total nutrition assessment like that, you are then able to figure out with them, let's say that they're not getting in enough iodine and we want to work on them getting in more iodine. Then what we can do is we can come over to looking at a menu and figure out how could we use food first. We may still need to use a supplement, but how could we use food first? Now, keep in mind, one of the really popular ways to get in iodine is also through creams. So you do want to make sure that when you're asking about that you ask about things like their skincare or their other supplements, that you do inquire about that part. And one of the reasons I inquire about it is I really like to start with food and then go to before the topical. Typically, I'll usually go with food and then look at their multi from a food source and then see how their body responds. And then we'll go into adding a topical, but that's just from my practice and what I enjoy. So what you're going to see is each day is going to deliver that base RDA of 150 micrograms. In this one, you also find out about other key trace nutrients. So that's really beneficial too, because you're not just looking at somebody's health from one particular nutrient, and you can look at how they're getting in all these things. So for example, iodine and chromium, if we're trying to improve work on somebody's iodine intake, maybe it's around hypothyroidism, perhaps you're also dealing with weight or with insulin resistance, or looking at how to optimize their blood sugar, and the chromium would be helpful. So these can be obviously interrelated. So what we want to do on this part is actually then use these menus. I describe it as I use these menus like I use a menu with a school kid, where I'll go through and I'll be like, hey, let's go through this menu and tell me what looks delicious or what sounds pretty good to you. And deliciousness for me is on a scale of 1 to 10. It has to at least hit a 6, but ideally it hits a 7 or greater. So some people are going to love sardines. Other people are going to be like, keep going, keep going, keep going, right? And what this is going to do is tell you where the iodine is found as opposed to the others. So for example, if somebody's like, well, I don't like sardines, but I like everything else on that salad. Awesome. You can totally have that salad, but we were planning to use the sardines there to get those 36 micrograms of iodine. So what I need to then do is look somewhere else. Well, if you like egg, what we could do is 2 eggs, and that's going to get in even more iodine on that part, and that would help us get closer to our needs on that part for the day. So that's going to be a way that we could look at it. If you're avoiding seafood, if you're avoiding the cod and the sardines, etc., what you're going to want to do is then look in, and it could again be eggs, or if it's a plant-based diet, then we need to look at the plant sources that provide iodine. And what we might do is turn around here and say, I'm going to do the barley, the broccoli, the cauliflower. I personally would throw some hemp seeds on there, thinking about hemp seeds as the wild salmon of the plant kingdom. And then I would use iodized salt, or I would use a salt that's going to provide iodine, or I would use seaweed and crumple that up. And you can take those like seaweed snacks and crumple it up on there, and you're getting a little bit of salt and a little bit of seaweed, and you would do it that way. And so that's a way that you can morph this into plant-based and still deliver the iodine, but you'll see, what the amount is that you would want. So I don't think many people are going to say no to getting in chocolate peanut butter overnight oats. But if we're focusing on iodine, that isn't going to be the win for us unless somebody is not doing almond milk and they want to do regular milk. And so then you can have a conversation about organic, that we don't want it to be low fat, and they could do their regular milk there. So that would be a way for them to be getting in the iodine that way. And like here, you can see that we also did plain yogurt, and that was a way to get it in. Now, as you start to go through this, you might be like, ooh, my client doesn't take in dairy and doesn't want it to have animal products, or maybe only likes, salmon and doesn't like any other seafood. If we start to notice as we go through page after page that, my client's really not going to be doing this. They're not going to do shrimp. They're not going to do plain yogurt. They're not going to do tuna. They're not going to, okay. So we're talking total nutrition here, right? And I'll just show you there's 7 days for each one of these. These are not meal plans. There are other companies for that. These are teaching tools to help you do what we just did. And these come with your shop of tools. So they're included. Okay, so what we've basically done at that point is we've gone through, sorry, I know it is like, I do love the sun. I'm trying to see if it's better. Okay, sorry. So at this point, we know that our client, we know that they're not getting in enough iodine. And one, that can be something that, especially if you're working with, say, a young woman who's following a plant-based diet, you're really going to want to start off inquiring about iodine, regardless of whether she has thyroid issues at all right now. One of the reasons on that part is, we want to be thinking about in the future if she's interested in having children. That's the way that I would, I would feel like it's going to be off into the future. If you're 22 right now, let's not think about this. But if you are thinking about that, if you imagine someday that you want to have kids, what we should be thinking about is either that your supplement is going to help us meet those needs, or I just want you to be conscious of that we want to add salt, or that, here are a couple, we want to have seaweed. Here are the plant-based options for getting in your iodine, and we could go through that part. And so that's where I think you can proactively have a conversation about, one nutrient, or in the case of the trace minerals, all these different nutrients. So that is how total nutrition assessment can help you with an individual client. Whether you're doing it virtually or whether you're doing it in person, you would give them this form, they would fill it out. You can even talk through. So I've done just what we did here with clients before, where I've asked them the questions. I'm like, let's go through this quiz together. And I asked, and I just take some notes off to the side, and then we figure out how that factors in. And I find that especially helpful as a follow-up. So when we're getting into a specific nutrient, some of the total nutrition assessments I do in the beginning are things like, now I'm using our eye health or our heart health. We'll be talking about that next month, our eye health one. If you want to learn it all about nutrition and eyes and what it means actually for your whole body, heart health, blood sugar, etc., you got to register for our webinar with Dr. Ronnie. I was going over the slides this morning. She is so knowledgeable and makes this so doable for us practitioners, regardless of our scope of practice. So I hope you'll register to join us on the 21st for that one. So you can do this individually, but you can also do these. These are ready-made for programs and groups. So let's say that I'm doing an event and I've got a group of women, and we're getting together, and I know one of the topics that we want to talk about is thyroid health, right? They're going to have questions about cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, etc. Or they may have questions about just in terms of what's a good diet for thyroid, what do I do from an autoimmune standpoint, all of these things. So one of the fun things that you can do is you can actually send them the iodine evaluation ahead of time. It's kind of like a lead magnet for the event. They fill it out and then they come in there. And what that does is it allows this personal connection at the event where you might not be able to talk to all 50 people, or you might not be able to actually, not just time, but you also may have people who are shy and don't necessarily want to talk about their health stuff. But what it does do, and you can include your information, contact me or text this to get this, or whatever it is, or here's a bonus offer. And if you have them do that, and that's at the end, when they start to hear your information, they're going to go, oh, I really want to connect with her. Let me, offline when I leave here, let me go ahead and do this. And you've got this thing in front of you. So that can be a great way to do that. The other way that it's awesome is that you can use these tools as part of total nutrition assessment as the kickoff to any programs that you run. So this month I'm running the sugar shakedown. So I had everybody do the do the added sugar evaluation. The digestive evaluation was the kickoff for the digestive tune-up one. In February, we're doing Be Heart Healthy, and so we'll be using the heart health evaluation for that one. We use other evaluations throughout the program, but what it does in the beginning is when somebody signs up and pays, number one, they love getting something, right? So I give them the quiz and I say, okay, turn this in, or have your healthcare practitioners turn it in, because remember, our programs at the Better Nutrition Program, when I do these 30-day challenges, they're actually for practitioners. So our shop of tools owners get to invite 5 clients for free. And if you just buy the package and sign up for the program, you get to invite 2 clients for free. And then you're coaching them. If you're a shop of tools owner, I actually work with you behind the scenes on the information that you've gathered and how you might want to coach your client through the through in this case, the Sugar Shakedown. So we run those programs every month. And if you're a Shop of Tools owner, you actually get access to every one of those. So it could be 5 different clients. It could be 5 of the same clients. And these programs are great lead magnets for your additional whatever you want to do. Then you also get a program that you can run yourself. So go run the Sugar Shakedown 5 times this year, and have people join in it with you. And so the reason the tools are so helpful is at the beginning, you do that total nutrition assessment. So it does something for me as the person running the program. 1, it's done for me, so it's work I don't have to do. But number 2, when I get that, I can figure out how to personalize I get to personalize that particular Sugar Shakedown because I see what a lot of people are dealing with, right? Sometimes I might get a lot of people who actually aren't taking in a lot of added sugar, but they're taking in a lot of sweeteners, those non-caloric sweeteners. So I know I really need to talk about that. Or this time, I really need to talk about all the beverages, the liquid nutrition, the sugar and the not sugar, right? Or the sugar and I know wine isn't added sugar, but what's it doing when you're going in and what does it mean for your added sugar intake the next day, right? So we'll have those conversations. And so that works really well. And then the other side of it is it also allows me to set specific goals for the participants. And as healthcare practitioners, our programs need to deliver outcomes. They don't need to just share information with people, right? We need to make sure that they help people, I believe, move from point A to point better, right? And so what we want to do on that part is really like hone in on where they currently are. And that's what the total nutrition assessment helps you do. So I went through a lot. I forgot what Muriel said to me, which is to go slower. I get so excited when I'm here and I don't have questions, then I just get rolling. I'm going to pause. I'm breathing. I'll even take a sip of my water. So any questions on total nutrition assessment, on programs? This is also your time to ask me any questions about what you got going on this year. Do you need any help with anything? Do you have any clients that you're wondering about how you can help them do better? Hit me up with some of the questions. Otherwise, I'll just show off more of my sweatshirt, which I'm so excited about. No need to be shy. I got a couple of questions coming in. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. I don't do a great job of promoting all the different things about the Better Nutrition Program because I get so geeked out and excited about talking about how the tools work. But I had this awesome email yesterday from one of our Shop of Tools owners because I was able to connect her with a producer for ABC News that's actually not in the city that she lives in. He's in Washington, D.C. because I used to live there and I was like, oh my gosh, of course. She went and she had did this awesome segment and now he's invited her back. So just a reminder, our provider referral network, which comes when you're purchasing the Shop of Tools and when you're getting and using our tools, not only is it a great place to get client referrals, and I've sent a bunch of you client referrals, but it's great for that. And I was also able to connect another one of our Shop of Tools owner because when I talked to her in her live training, we talked about what she's doing in Charlotte. And I realized, one, I know this great group of women that started in Columbus called the Beauty Boost, and it's now open in Charlotte, and so she's going to be a speaker there. But also that one of my favorite integrative medicine doctors is in Charlotte. Shout out to Russ Greenfield, and I was like, let me connect you there. So my goal is to not just have you use these tools with your existing clients, but for really to have you use them and figure out how and learn how they can be used in your business and to grow your business if you're interested in growing your business. Okay, Marla, my dear, hi, great to see you. Which assessments do you usually do during an initial assessment? Okay, so this one is, all right, and I'm going to do this just because I know I should have done it at the beginning. Sorry. I was so loving having the sunshine on my face, but I realized it's just not fair for all of you. Anyway, so initial assessments are a little bit tricky to say like one size fits all, right? Because even though they're initial, they should be a little bit more personalized in that space. However, I have a pretty standard initial assessment, and that is I get the digestive evaluation. I have a new patient form that gets me some specific information and has them sign off on HIPAA and like that tells me, what makes them laugh and some of these other things. And then I have them do a 3-day Better Nutrition Journal, because that's going to also give me some information to check myself against both what I'm seeing in their digestion. My intake form is really short. Actually, it's 2 pages, but it does ask them to also take the photos front and back of their supplements. So that would cover off on all of that. Now, the caveat to that is if somebody has emailed me and said, I'm interested in setting up a session with you, or maybe I've talked to them on the phone, and I have high cholesterol and I'm trying to figure out how to do it without medication or that kind of thing, then I would send them probably along with the digestive evaluation, or if I think they're not going to fill out too many forms, I send them the heart health evaluation and would do it that way. For my menopause clients, like when I get women coming in who are like, oh, I'm dealing with stubborn weight gain, that kind of thing, I will do the digestive evaluation, and I now do the eye health evaluation. You'll learn why next week in our webinar with Dr. Bonnick on 121, register. And then also I may do the added sugar, and that's going to be important. So I might do those 3. Again, it really depends on the individual, because if somebody does not or says like, hey, I'd rather just go over this when I come in with you, they at minimum have to fill out the new patient form. I don't see anyone without that part. Then if they come into the office, then we may go over those evaluations in person and do it that way. But that's typically where I start. Now, if I'm starting with a family, especially if I'm starting with I see a lot of like young teens, preteens, etc. I usually will do our rainbow evaluation and our water evaluation. And the reason for that is I want to start off with a very positive. It's not about good foods, bad foods. It's about, are you giving your body what it needs to run better? And it needs a variety of colors and it needs water. And so let's start there. And I do like to do the digestive evaluation with them and have them do it actually not with me, because they find it awkward, to talk about their digestion, but they'll answer the questions. And a lot of times too at home, they do the questions with mom or dad or together, which also facilitates some discussion, especially the questions around, do you feel stressed and do you feel bloated, and some of these. So that is an awesome question. And then what I do is I usually will use assessments in between, or one of my favorite things is I will reach out to reassess. So if I haven't seen someone 6-8 months, maybe I saw them back and like they came in for one session, right? And they didn't come in again. I don't know if they're doing well or not. So I might say to them, hey, I was just thinking about you. I'd love to know how you're doing. Want to shoot me over the digestive evaluation or the added sugar evaluation to see if, how your progress is, and let's see where we go from there. Almost always I get it back, and very often it converts into having another session, which is, the session isn't my goal, but which is, figuring out what worked and what didn't work for them, and then, adjusting to help get them on a better path. So that's a great question. Other questions? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Otherwise, I'll gift you back 28 minutes, which I'm sure that everybody can use for amazing things, but this is your opportunity. I don't know if you have a client that you're working with that you have any questions towards, or just wondering, especially if you have the shop of tools. I sometimes have practitioners who are saying like, what do I do with all of them? Well, you don't need to use all of them every day, all the time, but I do think one of the things that I find especially in 2020, I'm really excited about it, is that I use the guides and these menus that I was just showing you, as well as the quizzes, but as lead magnets for my social media, because I am not participating in social media. My time is way, way, way too valuable to me. I don't even care about the dollar side. But I'm not participating in social media unless I'm getting a connection. So I want to understand if you liked my post, that's great, but I want to connect with you. So then I offer a tool, or I offer a guide for more information, and then I can share it that way. And I just think that's game changer. So I encourage you to do that part as well. Let's see. Other questions? Got Marla. If you want to just say hi. I can't actually see who's here, so I see that there are quite a few of you, but I don't know who's watching. It's because I use Ecam. Somebody asked me the other day, what service do I use? And I use Ecam because I don't want Facebook to own all of my content. So I do it here, and then I get the MP4. I can upload it, and I do upload it to YouTube so that these are available if anyone wants those links. It's also a really great thing because I also have these now as editable segments that if I wanted to just like super quickly do like a minute of this and, you know, have that for like a reel or post it on my site or do something else. So you don't have to use Ecam, but I do highly recommend if you're incorporating into your business going live, you may want to be thinking about using a tool like this to collect that so that somebody else doesn't own you. It's not so much about I worry about what they're going to do with it or that kind of thing. I just think it could get lost or I won't be able to do what I did with all of this. How do you learn more about Ecam? Marla, you can email me. The other is you can go to their website, Ecam. I believe it's ecam.com. Just Google it, and you'll see it's ECAMM, so 2 M's. And then I also belong to a group on Facebook called Ecam Live Beta, I think, or Ecam Beta, something like that, which is amazing because the instant that I have a question about something, somebody in there responds. It's been so helpful. The only difference with Ecam is if I'm inviting guests in, because I do a lot of side-by-sides, that I'm using Skype for that. So some people don't like to use Skype. I know some people like to do Zoom meetings and things like that. You can do the Zoom meeting, but if you're using Ecam and you want to then bring in a guest that you're then going to be live with them on Facebook side by side, you would need to use Skype for that. And so that's just a thought. But there are all sorts of cool things you can do. Like, obviously below you should be seeing my name and you should be seeing the email for the Better Nutrition Program. If I wanted to, I could post a photo like right next to my head of the Iodine evaluation. I thought about that and then I was like, I think it's going to look weird. Plus, all the artwork in my house is my mom's and I like to show off her beautiful artwork. So then it gets me points going into the new year. So that part's good too. So anyway, love Ecam. Other people are using BeLive. I think there are quite a few at this point, but I find technology-wise this should just be easy and really high quality. So, yeah. Okay, anyone else? This is I would think, a great opportunity to ask questions about your clients or total nutrition assessment. If you are not selling yourself as a provider who does total nutrition assessment, you are leaving money on the table. I can't stress that enough. Over the years, especially for practitioners who want to get referrals, say, from busy doctors, over the years, easily 60% of my practice has come from practitioners who were like, I don't know about supplements, or I don't want to have to deal with it, or I just want to know that this all works together. Please go see Ashley. And then I send them a report, super easy. And by the way, it's even easier these days because you can actually send them this tool. Here's what your patient checked off. In the editable notes section, you write in there what you want them to know, and you send it off that way. It's beautiful. It has all the information there. You share it with them, and then you could say, hey, I'm going to reassess this in 3 months. I'll let you know. Or, hey, could you retest the hemoglobin A1C, and let's look at, how the client is doing, etc. And wow, they're going to be so impressed by you, as they should be, and also keep referring to you. So that's what we want. Okay. All right, everyone. I guess if there's no more questions, office hours is going to be office 40 minutes. I'm down with that. I've got some things I can do, reruns like maybe we'll get out into the sunshine. If you are interested in a Better Nutrition, Better Not Perfect sweatshirt, this swag, head over to the website. If you're interested in total nutrition assessments, head over there. Our shop page for practitioners under practitioner resources goes through everything I was just talking about. If you're interested in your own supplement store, but getting the back end fully stocked with our categories and our products, head to our blog for the full script blog there. And if you are remotely available or would want to watch it on replay, please sign up for our iHealth webinar. It is game changer what Dr. Rani is talking about, and really how we start to understand not just what our vision means, but also how our eyes and our optic nerve and our brain and like all of that is connected to things like our microbiome. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic hour. We're going to just try to keep it to an hour. And then a shout out, if anyone is headed to the Integrative Healthcare Symposium, please let me know. I'd love to say hi to you and meet you there. And then also, if anyone is going to be at IDEA Personal Training Institute, I'd love to see you there. Marla, we have, for the Shop of Tools owners, we have the beta test, which has 5 evaluations that are up there. Is that what you were talking about, or are you talking about the end of the beta test and getting the rest of them up there? Let me know. Just pause to that, or we can take it offline. But we do have them there for practitioners, for our shop of tools owners to use. We have 5 of them. We have the ones, I think, water, digestion, English, Spanish, digestion, fiber. Ooh, I'm forgetting what the 5th one is, but I know maybe it's added sugar. But we have those there for you to be using, and we're testing it out because we wanted to make sure it worked before we have them in there. Okay, so as a shop of tool owner, you should have gotten the opportunity in your weekly email to join the beta test. That was in December. So just email team@thebetternutritionprogram.com. We just have to have you agree. Yeah, sorry. And what happened, the only way we can communicate with Shop of Tools owners, we send a Thursday email out from the Better Nutrition Program. Definitely look for it. See if it's in your junk folder. Mark on your calendar, because we send updated tools. We send all sorts of stuff, but we only send you stuff that's relevant to growing your practice and using the tools better. Anyway, Marla, specifically, let's get you onto the beta test. We just need you to agree to a couple of statements that allows us to then check how it's working in both Practice Better and at the Better Nutrition Program for you. So do me a favor and just email team@thebetternutritionprogram.com. Say that you were watching this, say that we connected, and that you wanted to be part of the Practice Better beta test. We're really shooting for, in March, to have all of our evaluations up there by the close of March, but it's just pending a couple more things that we're checking in on the beta test. So awesome. Okay, anybody else? Any wins? Anybody just slaying it in their business or feel good about something and it's something they want to share and they're like, hey, I just want those extra high fives because I love giving that. I'll even send you a sticker. Now, my stickers are Bitmojis, but I do love to send those. Okay, if you're watching this at a time that is better for you and you have any questions, drop them in the box here or email team@thebetternutritionprogram.com. If it's nutrition specific, email me, Ashley, @thebetternutritionprogram.com. And I look forward to seeing all of you. There will not be office hours next week. There will be an incredible webinar on 121. Diana. Okay, so the supplement store. I must be missing something. I've only found a few protocols. Right. So Diana, the supplement store is different than the protocols. So in FullScript, there are protocols. I've developed just 2 of them. I think we've got a 3rd one coming out, our heart health one. And there are some other practitioner protocols, but the ones to use are tools, etc. What you get with the FullScript store is you actually get the fully stocked store. So the back end is stocked with our categories, our favorite categories, and also our products. So that's what you're getting from the supplement store. The shop of tools is what gives you and the packages that we have on the website shows how you use them in programs or for protocols. But we don't have another database of protocols. So hopefully that clears it up. I feel like you signed up for the supplement store. Is that right? Did you get the store? You should have that, and then you can use that in conjunction with your different evaluations, and you'll see different recommendations. Like, so for example, in the magnesium evaluation, it says on there, are you taking in, how do you access it if you already have a FullScript account? Okay, so what you would need to do is email Deborah, DEBRA, @fullscript.com. and let her know that you have a FullScript account, but you want the Better Nutrition Program store. Now, if you've used your FullScript account, like let's say you've had over more than 5 orders off of the FullScript account, yeah, so no worries. You have an existing FullScript account. So if you've used it, it's just a little harder for them. So what they may recommend is that you have, like, for example, I have a store. I have the Ashley Koff Approved store, and I have the Better Nutrition Program store that I run for this company. What we can always do, and I think what they've done, Diana, is basically they can't move your existing store if you have a bunch of sales already on it. But what they can do is you can create one with the Better Nutrition Program, all the categories and the products in there. They can also give you a list of the categories and the products. You'd have to upload all those yourself, though, and that's what I'm trying to save you from doing. So it may be a little bit tricky, but Deborah at fullscript.com, so Debra at fullscript.com, she will answer your questions, and she'll get in touch with me if there's something that we want to try to figure out between the two of us, and we can always connect on that part. But yeah, there's no worries. And the main thing for me is that we optimize you using your FullScript account with the tools as part of making that total nutrition recommendation. Now, over on our YouTube page, I have a short video about how to use your Better Nutrition tools in FullScript. So I highly recommend that you watch that one. When I hang up, I'll drop a bunch of the links that I mentioned into the provider group here so that you guys have those, just so that you don't have to go fishing for them. So let me do that. I will, unless there are other questions, I will hang up. And Diana, what you can also do is you can read the blog that I'll post about the FullScript store as well. Okay. I think that's it. All right, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Look forward to seeing you next week for the iHealth webinar. If it's already next week and you missed the iHealth webinar, all of these things are available on our YouTube page or right here in the videos section. So you can grab them here. And if you have any questions at all, reach out to team at thebetternutritionprogram.com. I hope you have an awesome week. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.